All right. So, essentially, this class, welcome to the class, DMPT 2525, Writing for Broadcast. Hopefully, you got a chance to take a look at the syllabus. Um, uh, I um, I'm gonna kind of use this as a walkthrough video. I recorded the walkthrough. I tried to record the walkthrough video like 3 times for this class, but I had some issues with my computer. It wasn't recording audio, so I have the video part, but not the audio part. So I'm gonna see if I can use this recording. I'm recording in a different way now. I'm not using QuickTime QuickTime Pro, QuickTime Player Pro to do it. I'm just recording it on WebEx. So this is how we're going to do it every week, 10 o'clock. Now, one thing about this course, 2525, is it is only an hour and a half once a week this semester. I'm not in charge of the scheduling. They don't ask me how long I want the classes to be. They don't ask me very much of anything. Sometimes they'll ask me what classes do I want to teach for the next semester, but that's about it. They don't ask me whether I want it to be online or live, how long I want the classes to be. And to tell you, 90 minutes for a screenwriting class is just not enough. Not even close to enough. I can tell you that 2 things about this course. It is, for me, and I think a lot of the students, the most rewarding course that they take at GPTC in their major, even if they don't want to be screenwriters, right? It's one of the most rewarding courses. That's number one. So they get the most out of it. However, it is also one of the most difficult courses. One of the most difficult courses. Not difficult in a way like a math class is difficult, where you just have to study a bunch of formulas and things like that. But it's difficult in that you have to really push yourself and grind as far as cranking out content. A lot of people think that writing is just about sitting down and just writing whatever comes to your mind spontaneously. Nothing can be furthest from the truth. Um, as an analogy, you've kind of seen how much preparation goes into um, graphic design work, that the stuff you did in DMPT 1000 in the, I guess that was a fall semester, and how you did your principles and elements of design chart, and you thought about what you wanted to do and planned it out ahead of time. Well, multiply that times 1,000 for writing. Writing, it's like writing even if it's we mostly are going to focus mostly on writing short screenplays in the class. However, um, you know, the same principles, the same technique that you use for writing a, say, 10-page short is the same technique you use for writing a 120-page feature film, because a feature film that you go to the movies to see, 2 hours long, it's 120 pages as far as the screenplay is concerned, but it's in a screenplay format, which we're going to talk about in a little while. So it's not like a novel, prose, as they call it, prose. It's not like prosaic. The writing is not, line for line down the page. It looks kind of like a stage play to a degree, but it's not a stage play. And knowing and sticking to the proper format for screenwriting is incredibly important in the industry. So we're going to talk about all that a little bit later on. But suffice it to say, there's a whole lot that's going on in even the most basic film that you watch on television, or basic episode that you watch of your favorite TV show or favorite anime episode. There's a whole lot that goes on, but most people don't understand what's going on behind the curtain and how much it took. So we're going to talk a lot about that, but a lot of what you do as a writer is in research and preparation. Execution is extremely important as well. By the time you've done all of your research and preparation, you know who your characters are, you know all of your beats. What a beat is in screenwriting is basically pivotal or important events that happen during your script, or during your film, during your show, that push the plot forward, and also illuminates your characters, and also illuminates the theme or the central idea of your story. So uh, just that. Now, that's just a very small part of what we do as writers. You can see that's a whole lot of balls you're juggling at the same time, and so it may a lot of people once they kind of get a glimpse of everything that a writer does, it gets a little bit overwhelming. But don't get too overwhelmed because of the fact that we're going to take it bit by bit, piece by piece, and it's still going to be a whole lot of pieces, like a giant 6 million piece puzzle. But you'll start to see how all the pieces fit together, and you'll understand that there's a logic to it, and you'll understand that good writing is the most important thing about a project, not the art, not the animation or the graphic design. That's fine and good, but I'm pretty sure you've heard of the show, the Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Have you ever seen any of the shows?
Yeah, I seen a few of the episodes.
Sure. Seems like honestly, it seems like a type of show you'd be into. I'm be honest with you, just my knowledge of who you are, Tyler. Seems like you would like that show, or
Yep.
like Adventure Time, something like that. Those 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 shows, and as far as writing is concerned, there is like zero distinction between animation and motion picture film. Zero distinction, or television like teleplays for TV. No distinction at all. But those shows aren't popular because of the art. Those shows are popular because of the writing. If you have great writing and really basic art, you can still have an award-winning show. But if you have Studio Ghibli style art, but you have no story, then you're going to crash and burn. Your show is not going to make it. So, you know, um, the script is. I always tell people my motto is story is king, meaning that's the most important part of any project, and largely that's because nobody does anything until they have a completed and ready script. Nobody can do it. The writers, the director, the actors, the cinematographer, the animators, whatever it is that you do, producer, studio, whatever it is that you do, you can't do a darn thing until you have a completed script. So the person who is writing the script, you can see in a lot of ways, is that's what kicks the ball in motion. That's what gets the ball rolling, is a script. And everyone else in the chain is dependent upon that script, the work chain, directors, actors, animators, whatever. They're all dependent upon that script because all they're doing is interpreting that script from the point of view of whatever their talent is. A cinematographer will interpret the script from lens and camera and light. An actor will interpret the script from how they deliver lines and how they move their bodies and how the facial expressions and body language. A editor will interpret the script in terms of arranging shots and sounds in a different order. But everybody is dependent upon the script, and they're all doing some interpretation of the script. So, one last thing I'm gonna tell you before we watch a quick video is there are two different types of, well, there are more than two different types, but there are two different types of writing in the commercial market. When I say commercial market, I mean film or TV, commercial film or TV. So that means something you watch on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, something you watch on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, something you watch when you go to the movie theaters. Okay. Everything that you see in those different venues and more can be broken down into one of two categories. They're either film scripts, feature film scripts, or short film scripts, okay? Or they are teleplays. Teleplays. A teleplay is like a television version of a script. Now, there are some reasons as to why there are the distinctions, but one of them is for television. Of course, if it's like commercial TV, like ABC, NBC, they're commercials, and when you write your script, you have to account for the spaces where the commercials are gonna go. Okay, you don't leave blank pages or anything, but what you do is that you segment the portions of your script, basically meaning that you'll break it up into acts. Like television has 5 or 6 acts. And so in each act, something important happens. And in the next act, something different, but also important happens. Okay. So the idea is between each act, there's a commercial break. So you have to bear that in mind as you're writing. With film, feature film, or short film, if it's non commercial, you don't have to worry about commercials at all. You just write it like you would continuously with 3 acts. It's generally 3 acts with in film style writing. Um, but uh, but another thing that makes it a little more nuanced now is that you're seeing a lot of shows that are like on cable networks like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Watchmen, um, anything on HBO or Showtime or Epix or you know any one of these premium cable channels that have these ongoing shows, Millions or Mr. Robot, where sometimes they have commercials, like on a show on like AMC. Sometimes they don't have commercials, but they're written more like a feature film as opposed to like a sitcom TV show, like Everybody Loves Raymond or The Cosby Show, or trying to think of more current TV show you might be aware of, or The Conners, or um, or Will Trent. Okay, um, and then there are other subdivisions other than just teleplay and feature film style. There are others in there. Like within teleplay, there's like a sitcom like The Conners or Modern Family, and then there are procedurals like Law and Order SVU. All right, or Will Trent is another version of procedural. Um, There are nighttime dramas like Grey's Anatomy, or I think it's Station 51, the one about the fire station that's like a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. All right. And so even within teleplay, there are subdivisions. Just like within film, there are film writing, screenwriting, there's subdivisions. Your key, if you want to be a writer, and I always tell people you need to study writing, and if you don't want to be a writer, but if you want to be a writer, you need to determine which one are you going to primarily be involved with. Now, that doesn't mean you can only be a teleplay writer. You've got lots of people who write scripts for TV, for sitcoms, who can write a feature film, and vice versa. Okay, but they're different styles, kind of like kung fu versus karate. Which one is better? Neither. It depends on the skill of the practitioner, but they have stylistic differences. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look at my email to see if anybody has emailed me to see if if they're having any problems getting in, and I have not seen anything. So one thing I do want to say to you though is please, please, please make sure that you check your email often for any changes in general. And that's one of the things that that we're going to talk about here. Actually, before I show the video, let me do a quick run through of what the Blackboard site looks like. And this will be quick, and we're going to look at the syllabus as well. This will be quick because of the fact that this is not your first class with me, and this is not your first class at GPTC. So here's our little walkthrough. I'm going to go to this is the screen for the class, right? So once you get into the class, this is the assignments section here. Just like with 1000 or any other class, it's broken down into modules, all right? And generally speaking, we do 1 or 2 modules every week. We're going to have to do more than one, I believe, in a couple of weeks because of the fact a couple of weeks this semester, because this is only a 10-week semester and not a 15-week semester, all right? So sometimes we're going to have to do more than one. Check the announcements for the most up-to-date information. However, the syllabus gives you information as well. Any changes that need to happen in the syllabus will just happen on the announcements, okay? Because of the fact that if I change the syllabus every time a change needs to be made, and that's quite often, I'll be making a lot of changes, and y'all will be downloading a lot of syllabi. So I just make the changes in the announcement. So just make sure you check your announcements, check your email regularly. And I think that's what's going on with people not um, in the class right now is nobody's checked their email. Nobody's checked the announcement section of Blackboard. So as a result, you know, that's probably what's going on. So as you can see here, each module covers a different chapter in the textbook. Okay. Like if I go on to module 1, prelude, what is writing? Actually, this one is not a chapter in the textbook. This is kind of like a module I made up to kind of prime you or to kind of give you a head start so that what you do in the book will make a little bit more sense, will be a little easier for you. You know, there's a learning section where it's just videos you watch or supplemental readings, right? And it'll tell you what we're supposed to learn over the course of that module. You can see I have 2 PowerPoints. Most of the readings I give you will be in the form of PowerPoint presentations that I made myself, but sometimes I'll also give you online articles. And you can see there are 2 videos here that we're going to watch. All right. We might watch a few more than that because, like I said, we have to cover a lot in a short amount of time. That's the learn section. Going back to the apply section, anytime that you do a quiz, like this first one, quiz on what is a screenplay, that's basically the material that we're reading for this first module. Anytime you do a quiz, it'll be in the assignment section, of course. I'm a very quiz heavy guy for this class. It's lots of quizzes, a quiz every week. And it's also an assignment. The assignments aren't every week, but basically how it works is that you're going to start building your screenplay, starting with what we call pre-writing. That means making outlines of what's going to happen in your story, writing a log line, which is like a brief summary of your premise, doing all the pre-writing. That's what we start off with, and then at the end of the semester, by the end of the semester, you should be into your 10-page script. A lot of students hate the concept of pre-writing; they just want to jump right in the script. And I have done that before, both as a teacher and as a student, and it is a disaster because of the fact that they have a great idea and they think the writer thinks that that's enough to write the whole script, and it never is. They get started and very soon they run out of gas. It's like running a marathon without doing any training. Okay. Yeah, you're really excited and you may do that first half mile really fast, but pretty soon you'll run out of gas and you won't be able to complete because you haven't conditioned your body. Well, it's the same thing with writing. If you haven't done the research, if you haven't planned this script out ahead of time, you'll find very quickly you'll paint yourself into a corner, meaning that I don't know what happens next, or you'll make it up as you go along. And when you do that, it's always bad because you have your story is full of plot holes. Your making up stuff as you go along that doesn't make sense. That's one of the things about a plot hole. But also a plot hole is you're breaking the rules that you have set for the world of your film. For example, I'll give you an example of breaking a rule that you set for the world of your film. If in your Star Wars series, it's really all about the Force as far as the Jedi are concerned, right? And although they have kind of done this in some of the extended stuff, if for some reason suddenly a major component of Star Wars, in addition to the Force, competing with the Force is our magic wielders like Harry Potter. Okay, like I said, they've kind of sort of done a little bit of this, but it didn't. It's kind of on the fringes of the Star Wars franchise. Well, they kind of broke their rules of the Star Wars universe because they said it's really all of the mystical stuff is going to be about the Force. Or a better example would be if, for some reason, humans were to be involved, like Earthlings were to be involved with Star Wars, right? Well, we've established that Star Wars takes place in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And the minute you introduce people from the planet Earth, you're flirting with breaking the rules of the story of the world that you've created. So things like that happen when you don't plan your stuff out ahead of time. Okay, it's like almost like somebody coming up and giving a speech, but they didn't plan it out, they didn't write it down, they don't have any notes, they don't have an outline, they don't have anything. They just stand up in front of 3,000 people and just gonna make up stuff as they go along. Okay, except for writing a screenplay is much harder than that. So you can see in this first section, this first quiz, this is going to be due on June the 2nd. Let me set that up right now so I won't forget. It's not due this Sunday coming up, but it's due the Sunday after that, the first Sunday in June. Okay. One thing you're going to see with all of my material that you see in the class is it's everything is due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m., whether it's a quiz or an exam or an assignment or a project. Everything is due at 11:59 p.m. And every Sunday at 11:59 p.m., something is due, with the exception of this Sunday coming up because this is the first week and we're just getting started. And secondly, you have a 1 week break for the 4th of July. That Sunday, well, actually, both Sundays. A Sunday, well, actually, I'm sorry. I think it may be both Sundays, but I know it's definitely the Sunday after the week of 4th of July, which would be like the July the 7th. There's nothing due. But other than that, just get it in your mind. Every single Sunday, something is due. Okay? I would recommend that you get started early. And from what I remember about you, you got really good at this, getting started early on your material so that you don't have to rush and just throw bad writing together, throw bad work together. Work ethics discussion, may have already done this. And hopefully if you did, you can copy and paste it into this thread. All you do is you click on the link here for work ethics discussion, and then you click on create thread, and then read these 10 work ethic traits. You should be familiar with this. These are traits that GPTC and the TCSG Technical College System of Georgia and future employers wish to see in students and employees. They want you to write a short statement on what these traits mean to you and to talk about maybe a particular scenario where these traits came into play, right? They have some videos that you can watch down here that kind of go into more detail on some of these traits. But you definitely want to do that because that is part of your grade in the class, completing that. If you already did it for another class, hopefully you saved it, like you saved your responses on that thread, and you could just copy it, click create thread, go down here and paste it, and then type in the subject and hit submit, and you're all done. And you could do that for the rest of your time here when we're asking this work ethics discussion question. One more thing I want to talk about before I show the video is the no-show participation assignment. I'm going to ask you to do this like now or very soon, that no-show participation assignment, because as you know, if you don't do this, then the registrar is going to kick you out of the class. They're going to drop you from the class, and it'll be like you were never here. You won't get a grade. You won't be able to access anything on Blackboard, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just simply 2 questions. You click on the course enrollment participation quiz link, click begin, and you just click yes on both of these and hit save and submit. That's all you have to do. I know you've done it before. The trick is just not to forget it, to do it for every single class so you don't get withdrawn from the course. All right. So let's see, is there anything else? I'll just do a couple things. Here's my contact information right here. You know where my office is, here on the Clarkson campus, C18. My number is the same as this school, extension 1305. My conference hours are really just Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I have like an hour or so between this class and my next class, the editing class. I'm not sure if you're in that one, but I have like an hour between this class and that class, but it's really not, a whole lot of time. And if nobody's going to come see me, I normally go get lunch or something like that. So Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays are my best days. I'm here from 9:30 to 4. I'm here longer than 9:30 to 4 on Mondays and Wednesdays, but those are my conference hours. And Fridays, 9:30 to 2. But I ask that people that if you want to see me during my conference hours, please email me or tell me personally, make an appointment with me because of the fact that I want to make sure that I have time for just you and I don't, it's not a situation where you come in to see me and somebody else is sitting there and you got to wait for them to finish or something like that. So I want to make sure that, time is just for you. So please make sure if you want to see me, set an appointment by just emailing me and telling me the time and date. If it doesn't work for some reason, that time and date, I'll email you back and I'll just remind you of my time and dates dates and times that I'm available. Also because, hey, if nobody needs to see me for a day and it's like noon or something, then I'll go get lunch, something like that. Um, so I want to kind of get out of that, get out of the habit, get students out of the habit of students will just like fall through. If you just have me walk by my office, you want to see if I'm there and say hey or whatever, or even talk about something, that's fine. But don't, if you have something really important that you need help with, don't just assume that you can just stop by Mr. Thomas's office and he'll be there and available. So please make an appointment uh, for to see me for any kind of office hours or help anything. The walkthrough video for this course can be found in this link right here. Kind of making it now. The syllabus for the course is in this link right here. Please download this syllabus, Tyler, and make sure you read it. Click on this link right here. It'll download to your computer and save it. Put it on a flash drive. Put it on a cloud. Always have somewhere where you can have access to it. Course schedule. This is just a calendar. This is actually pretty useful because if you have this class checked, writing for broadcast 60098, if you have it checked down here, then you'll get these little red banners for every assignment you have, all the due dates. And as you can see, they're all on Sundays. If you click on the banner, double click on the banner, it'll give you a little more detail. It'll tell you what it's about. For example, this is my course enrollment quiz. That course enrollment quiz that you saw me do, please get that done once again as soon as possible. The deadline for that is May the 26th at 11:59 p.m. That's this Sunday. Please make sure you get it done by this Sunday so you will not be dropped from the course. But other than that, you can see these little red banners have information on, quizzes, when they're going to be and things like that, and when the due date is. Okay, so by the way, all of the quizzes are up and available for you to take like now. Not that you're going to just take them now because you don't have the information, but the idea is I want to encourage you all to not wait until the last minute to do this material and take these quizzes. I want to encourage you to say, hey, I'm going to read ahead so that maybe I can take a couple of these quizzes ahead of time. But when the deadline for the quiz comes and goes, when that deadline hits, that's it. The door shuts. I don't do makeups. I don't do redos. I don't do anything like that. So please make sure that you take advantage of the fact that all the quizzes for the whole semester and even the midterm, not the final yet, but even the midterm, they're all available like right now. So if you read ahead, you could save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of anxiety by getting that stuff done early. Academic calendar. This is just a list of dates from the school. It's not specific to this class, but it goes to the school's website and it tells you about deadlines, final grades to be posted on August the 2nd for this class. I don't know if financial aid is an issue or concern for you, but if so, for the summer 2024 semester, your final payment deadline is June the 9th. The last day of classes is July the 27th. My final written exam will be the July the 28th, and your final 10-page script is due on July the 21st. Okay, and of course, yesterday was the first day of classes for the whole school, but May 21st is our first day of classes. All right, so that's pretty much all that's going on in the academic calendar section. All right. Blackboard support information. You know what this is. If you forget your password or your password doesn't work, you can click on this link and get some password assistance so you can get back into your Blackboard account. GPTC online learning support information. This goes back to the school's website. It's not active right now, but essentially it the online learning support information. Those are just some resources for how you can, access the Student Support Center or Student Success Center, rather, different things that can help you with your time here as a student, study skills, study habits, things like that. The Blackboard support ticket link. This is basically if you are, you're having problems with Blackboard, something other than your password doesn't work. If it's something like, hey, I'm not seeing all my classes that I'm taking on Blackboard, or Blackboard is acting funny in some other kind of way other than your password doesn't work, you would click on this link and you would fill out this form and submit what's called a ticket. That's just a request for service for them to fix your issue. And of course, the Blackboard technology orientation recording, if you click this link, it'll tell you all about how to access Blackboard, how to use Blackboard. I think Sandra Clapper still does that. And you're probably good with Blackboard because this is not your first time at the rodeo. That's all for the Start Here section, is it? Maybe not. Oh, textbook information. Textbook. Here it is right here. Mandatory textbook for the class. We're only going to require one for this course, and it is Save the Cat. All right? The last book on screenwriting you'll ever need. That's the name of the book. It is in the bookstore, but also you can find it online. I have mine from Kindle, right? So I have the free Kindle app on all my smart devices, my smartphone, my tablet, my laptop, and a desktop. So you can easily access your your purchased book, because the book is not free. Just the Kindle app is free. But you purchase the book, download and install the app. After you purchase the book, it'll go to your Kindle app account and you'll be able to read the book. I want to encourage you to do that. We only are going to use the first one directly, but there's a sequel to it if you're so interested. There's another book that I'm going to be using. You don't have to buy this if you don't want, but it's called Making an Award-Winning Short. Making an Award-Winning Short. How to Write, Direct, and Produce a Short Film by Edmund Levy. Edmund Levy. How to Making an Award-Winning Short. And I'll put the information on that in the announcements if you're interested in that, because of the fact that one of the things that a lot of people think is that writing a short film is not exactly like just taking a 120-page film and compressing all of those events or story beats into 10 pages, right? It's not entirely like that. There are certain things that you can leave out and certain things that you need to include in a short that makes it a little different from a feature film script. So that's what that book is about, and that's what I want to focus on. Give me one moment. I have somebody at my door. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Yes.
It's good.
Good.
My classes,
Yes.
and I was trying to enter. I changed to degree
Okay.
to save more time, and
Good.
they tell me animation doesn't have degree.
Yeah. Well, it's Dmpt, Design Media Production Technology.
Okay.
Yeah. Animation is inside of that major. So yeah, tell me you want to be a DMPT, Design Media Production Technology major, or sometimes they call it New Media, but it's DMPT. That's what you want.
I entered that one.
Okay, good.
Actually.
Good. Excellent. Outstanding.
And
Okay.
I entered my classes. I only have 3. I need to take more, or
Well, it depends on what you want to do. It depends on your financial situation. It depends on how much you think you can handle. You just finished a GED program here, right?
yes,
And you're taking 3. This is for the fall or the summer?
this summer.
The summer. I would probably stick at 3 because remember, the summer semester is 10 weeks, not 15. So it's shorter, but they expect you to still cover everything you would in 15 weeks, but in 10 weeks.
Okay.
So I think 3 is really a full load. I mean, assuming your financial aid will do that, because sometimes financial aid will say you have to take a minimum of a certain number of classes in order for them to pay for it. I don't know if that's your situation. If it is, you could definitely talk to your financial aid advisor.
Yeah, for a moment, I'm waiting to accept my financial aid.
Okay. Okay.
The web,
Okay.
and I only came here to ask if that is okay, or if I enter good. I don't know if I will.
Yeah, no, you're doing everything fine. Just yeah, so if you're a DMPT major for the associate's degree,
Yes.
DMPT major, associate's degree, and then as far as 3 classes for the summer, I would probably stick at that because it's 3 classes. That's probably 9 credit hours. It's three credit hour classes. And so, yeah, no, I think you're in really good shape.
Okay.
Okay?
I just want to make sure I got it.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Good job. All right, man.
I'm trying tree for a moment and I'll continue with you in fall.
In the fall. I'll see you for DMPT 1000 in the fall.
Okay.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you for hanging on there for me, sir. That was a student who is entering the program. I want to close my door during online classes, but we're so short-staffed that I'm a little reluctant to do that because of the fact that people will walk away and not get the help they need. But anyway, I showed you the textbooks that I'll be pulling it from, and I'll be pulling from a huge number of sources. You'll see videos from different sources like Studio Binder, from PBS Crash Course. Please make sure you watch all the material in the video resources section and read all the material in the reading section for each module. That is a very, very carefully curated selection of sources, because like I said, we have to cram as much as we can in. Even 15 weeks is really a short amount of time for a class like this. We have to cram in as much as we can. And so I try to give you a lot of information that you can access when you're not online with the online class. So like in your own time, because this is kind of, I guess you call it the ultimate hybrid class, where 80% of it is when you're not talking to me directly like this. All right. So let's see, going back to start here. Information, grading policies, you all know this. You know this already. ABCDF, 90 to 100 is an A, 89 to 80 is a B, 79 to 70 is a C, and so forth. In order to get out of this class in any major any class in your major, Tyler, you need to have a C or better. That's a 70% or better. We don't do pluses or minuses at this school, but I definitely want to emphasize that you have to have a C or better. Proctoring, this really has mostly to do with Respondus Lockdown Browser. Okay, we're not going to have to worry about that until the final exam, kind of like for 1000. I don't use Respondus Lockdown Browser for anything but the final exam. We'll talk more about that later. Additional course resources. This is a blank spot because of the fact that what I'm supposed to put there is any additional material, supplementary material that's not necessarily tested in the semester, but it's just good, helpful professional development material, meaning that it's going to help you develop in your field. I generally don't put it in the additional course resources section. I put it in the assignment section in either the video resources or the reading section, though. College resources, once again, this is really general. This is accessing the library online, accessing BannerWeb to register for next semester. And yes, by the way, you can register for fall classes now. A course catalog that tells you all about the school. Campus services and amenities, that's self-explanatory, as is the student handbook. Online training from TCSG. Foundation scholarships if you need money to come to school. Take classes. They have limited resources they can give you. Campus life, that's like campus clubs like United Media Minds, which you should join. I don't know if you already have, but I know you know about it. United Media Minds are supposed to get back into full motion during the summer. Our stand-in president is Kenosha Swinney, and they're supposed to have some stuff going on. So all campus organizations are covered under Campus Life. How to file a complaint or grievance or question about or with somebody at the school, you click that link right there. Do you have any questions for me, Tyler?
No.
All right, good. Glad to see you're still with us there. I'm going to zip through the syllabus very quickly, and then we're going to take a break. All right.
All right.
I'll just show you where I get the syllabus from, just so you know how to do it. Go to syllabus, and then click on this right here, the 2024 syllabus. And then I'm just going to download it to my desktop so it's easy for me to find. And then I'm going to go to my desktop. And right there. All right. So here's our syllabus. I'm not going to read it to you word for word because it's kind of long, not too long, but you definitely want to have access to this, have a copy of it, read it thoroughly on your own time. But this is what's going on with the syllabus. We meet on Tuesdays once again from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Hybrid class. So that means that really like 80% of the work and time you're going to be spending on this class, and it will be a whole lot. I do want to tell you that it's a lot of work you're going to spend outside of class. But when I say it's going to be a lot of work, I don't want it to sound entirely like a burden, because remember, you're writing material that you are personally invested and committed into. Okay, so you're writing stories right now. It's not going to be just stories about, oh, what can you pull out of your head, Tyler? Um, I used to do screenwriting classes like that, but number one, that's not how it works in the real world. If you're a freelance writer, sure, you can write anything your heart desires, but even if you're a freelance writer, your finger's always on the pulse of, okay, what is trending in the film or television industries right now? Okay. And the reason why you need to have that is not just so you can have a popular script, but so that you can write a script, or maybe you already have written a script that meets a particular demand. Okay. So it's almost like making trap music. If trap music isn't really selling right now and it's more about gangster rap, then you would apply your same talents to maybe a gangster rap style song. Okay. That's the first example that came to mind for some reason. This is our course description, which is has some elements in there that are accurate, but a lot of it is not totally accurate. The only thing you have to take this class is Dmpt 1000. Here's my information again. I'm extension 1305. If you want to call me, like, I don't even know why I put the Google phone there, but that's my Google phone number there. And those are my conference hours again. All right. Here is the information on the textbook for the class, complete with the ISBN number. As you know, this is not the syllabus, the only syllabus for the class, because there's a supplemental syllabus that covers material that's not specific to DMPT 2525. It's like just generally school stuff like academic misconduct policy, equal opportunity policy, special services, withdrawals, and technical support. All that material is covered in a separate supplemental syllabus found at www.gptc.edu/supplemental-syllabus. All right. Here are the breakdowns as far as student learning objectives and competencies and outcomes, as far as how much time we're going to be spending doing different areas, different things. And all of the stuff you should know by the time you get out of the course. We've talked about the work ethics assignment already. Make sure you do that if you haven't already. Copy paste it if you already have. Of course, as you know, DMPT 1000, I was a little bit more generous than I am with my other courses because we're just getting you in the door with 1000. But from this point forward, the policies are no late work, no redos. Make sure that you submit everything on Blackboard. Don't submit anything by emailing it to me. If it's not on Blackboard, it doesn't count. All right. Once again, the no-show assignment, that participation assignment, is due this Sunday, May the 26th by 11:59 p.m. Please make sure you complete that so you're not dropped from the class. You know the communication policy. If you email me, give me 24 hours to respond. If it's Monday through Thursday, if you email me Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, then I will get back to you by noon of the following Monday. All right. The proctored event, that's really kind of like it was for 1000. The final exam and the proctored event, they're the same thing. And you just use Respondus Lockdown Browser to take your final exam, and that knocks out your proctored event and your final exam. No-show assignment, once again, You see it a whole lot here. Make sure you complete it by this Sunday, May the 26th, 11:59 p.m. Here's a breakdown of everything. Notice that I have, they're called projects, but more accurately, I guess you can see those first three projects are more like assignments, right? Because they're not as major, they're not as all encompassing, at least at first, as projects. But we have quizzes every week, every week, every week, every week. All the quizzes together are worth 10% of your grade. Each quiz is worth about 1.25% of your final grade. So if you mess up or miss one or two, it's not the end of the world. But if you miss a whole lot of them or do poorly on a lot of them, that's where you need to be concerned. And then we have 4 projects. Each one of these projects, it's like a building block in building your finished 10-page script. All right. So these aren't just random projects. Project 1 leads to project 2, leads to project 3, and then it all culminates in project 4, which is the first draft or the first version of your 10-page script. You also have a written midterm exam, just the proctored event part of your final exam, which is 10%. The proctored event part is 10%. The final exam is 10%. So to be honest with you, the proctored event final exam is 20% of your final grade. Your professionalism is 10%, right? Final exam, our final exam, just like with the for 1000, it's not one specific time you can take it. It'll become available to you on Sunday, July 24th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And it will close out on Sunday, July 28th at 11:59 p.m. So you have a whole week to do the final exam. Please make sure you do not miss this final exam, because if you do, zero on the final exam, no questions asked, no makeups, no retakes, nothing like that. So please make sure that you have a whole week to do it. Make sure you get that done. So this is basically our course outline. This tells you everything we're doing during the semester. The first column is the week that we're in. Of course, we're in week number 1, week of Sunday, May 19th, 2024. Week of will always be the Sunday before the Monday that I'm talking about. All right. So what's in the second column, that's everything you should be reading or watching during that week. In the third column is what you have to turn in, what you have to submit for a grade in the third column. All right. And it does that all through the semester. First column, what week is it? Second column, what am I supposed to read? Third column, what is due? So for example, in this third column on the second week, you see that project 1, determining your premise, is due on June the 2nd by 11:59 p.m. I have a project assignment sheet, and that tells you exactly what you're supposed to do for each one of these projects. Okay. I mentioned to you determining your premise, or determine what you want to write about. It won't be just something you pull out of your head, because that's usually it causes a lot of problems. We're going to talk about why later on. It's not how it works in the industry. For the first time, we're going to use artificial intelligence to help you come up with your premise, help you determine your premise using artificial intelligence. Okay. And then also on that same day, quiz number 1 on what is a screenplay. So everything you read in that first week, you're gonna have a quiz on it in the second week. And the same thing will roll down for the rest of the semester. Everything you read in the second week and do in the second week, you're going to have a quiz on it in the third week. Everything you read and do in the third week, you're going to have a quiz on it in the fourth week, and so forth. You have a midterm exam in week 5. And that's also in project 2, the 15 beats are going to be due. We'll talk about what beats are and how you do those as the course goes, as the course goes through. Actually, I'm sorry. The midterm is not in week 5. The midterm is in week 6. Project 2 is due in week 5, and you have a quiz on chapter 4 in the text in week 5. But the actual midterm is in week 6 by June the 30th, Sunday, June the 30th, 2024, 11:59 p.m. Okay. And then this just kind of gets you ready, telling you that project 3 will be due not in week 6 on June 23rd, but on June 30th. Okay, so you're going to turn that in just before you go to spring break. Not a spring break, Independence holiday. Independence holiday. You get a whole week off for the 4th of July. So you'll turn in your project. You turn in your project 2. I'm sorry, your project 3 before you go off on the independence break. And then after you come back on the week of Sunday, July the 7th, you'll pick up where you left off, reading in chapter 5. And then on July the 14th, you'll take a quiz on chapter 5 and so forth, going all the way down to week 10. Well, actually, let's go back to week 8, because on week 8, your first draft of your project 4, your first draft of your 10-page script will be due on July 21st, 2024, right? And we're just going to do a review in week 9 for the final exam. And then in week 10, that's your final exam. Respondus Lockdown Browser final exam. So you would have turned in your final project, your final finished script 1 week before your final exam. All right. Do you have any questions for me on the syllabus, sir?
No.
Okay, so please make sure you download the syllabus, read it thoroughly, because I didn't go over it word for word, and we will, and then we will, go off of that. Remember, also look at your announcements. Check your announcements, because of the fact that in your announcements, that's where we are going to make any changes to the syllabus. Mr. Walker has joined us. Are you there, Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I see your. Okay, I see you. All right. So we're about to take a break. It is 10:58. Let's call it 11. We'll just take a really short break because we'll only go to 11:30, which is nowhere near as much time as we should have for this course. That's why we always need to be on time every day so we don't miss any content. But let's go away, come back at, let's take a 10-minute. Let's come back at 11:10 and we will watch some videos on what is a screenplay and what is screenwriting format. All right. So I'll see you all in 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay. All righty, gentlemen. Okay, we are back 1 minute early. But early is better than late, right? Please make sure that early is better than on time, right? On time is better than late. You should never be late. There's a saying that goes, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late is to be unemployed. So you always want to have that harsh reality at the front of your thinking. Okay. And that's part of what we do here, is to train you for the reality of entering the market. So I'm going to set up these videos that we are going to watch. Okay, the first video. Well, actually, before I do that, I do want to quickly show you, just so you know what you're doing when you, just so that you know what you're doing when you access the readings, the PowerPoints, because I have a lot of PowerPoints. Go into the reading section for module. This is module 1. And then click on a link for example, we'll do screenplay format 101 first. And then it'll download download the PowerPoint. And then you know the routine. And you go ahead and I double clicked on that PowerPoint, and here it is right here. All right, PowerPoint on what is a screenplay or a script. One of the things I want you guys to do is definitely download the PowerPoints every week that we have them, and save them. So many people just read them and throw them away or delete them or whatever. No, this is stuff that will serve you for the rest of your career, no matter what it is that you do. All right, so that's how you access your PowerPoints. You just raise your hand in the little chat if you have any questions or anything. But I'm going to go ahead. Let's watch a video that tells you about what a screenwriter does and what writing is all about. I'm going to the assignment section in module 1, then assignments, then, oops, I'm sorry, not assignments. then learn reading, bidding objectives, and then videos. Okay, so actually, before I do this one,
What if you could do SEO
Let's do that one.
smarter? In fact,
I want to do crash course in film, and I am going to do this is the one I want. Okay, so this is the one on screenplays, crash course.
Hi, I'm not Craig, but you're in the right place. This is still Crash Course Film. My name is Lily Gladstone, and I'm excited to spend the next 15 episodes with you exploring film production, how movies actually get made. We'll talk about all those great jobs that are listed in the credits and how movies take a huge amount of collaboration, whether you have a crew of tens or thousands. We'll go behind the scenes to see how movies are planned, shot, and edited, and take a peek at all of the equipment involved. And we'll learn how films are marketed and distributed, whether they go to movie theaters or straight to your home. But before we get anywhere near lights, camera, action, we need to start with a roadmap that gives everyone in the cast and crew the directions they need to make a film. It's time to talk about the screenplay. In most of these videos, we'll be learning about how the vast majority of narrative fiction films get made. And to do that, we need to start with the screenplay. A screenplay is a written version of a movie. Think of it as a blueprint. It's not the final product. It's a set of plans to guide the team of artists, craftspeople, and engineers as they produce a film. Every screenplay is formatted with 3 basic elements: slug lines, action, and dialogue. Each new scene begins with a new slug line. It's written in all capital letters and acts as a code to convey information to the crew. A slug line might look something like this. Here, the int stands for interior, meaning the scene takes place inside. If the scene takes place outside, the slug line would start with ext, for exterior. The second word tells us where the scene takes place, which is important information for a lot of the crew. The location scout needs to find somewhere to film the scene. The production designer alters the location to make it fit the world of the film, and the cinematographer decides how to light it. But before any of that happens, the line producer uses the location to help figure out how much the film is going to cost. The same goes for the last word in the slug line, which describes when the scene takes place, usually either day or night. Besides giving information to the crew, this can affect the cost of the movie, partially because shooting at night is more expensive. After the slug line comes the action. These are short, assertive sentences that describe who's in the scene and what they're doing. Since you watch a movie unfold over time, the action is written in present tense. So instead of writing Iron Man flew across the sky, you'd write Iron Man flies across the sky. The action is also limited to what the audience can see and hear. In a novel, you can describe what a character is thinking and feeling. Something like Luke Skywalker feels miserable. In the screenplay, you'd have to write an action to show us how he feels, like Luke Skywalker hangs his head and wipes away a tear. There are a lot of guidelines and tricks to writing action lines, but the most important rule is show, don't tell. Remember that this is where the thoughts, feelings, and themes of the screenplay are turned into actions you can see. And the final piece of the screenplay is the dialogue. These are the words spoken by the characters. Feature-length screenplays are usually between 90 and 120 pages, and each page typically becomes about a minute of the final film. This is more of an average than a hard rule, by the way. Some dialogue-heavy pages will likely be shorter than a minute, while some pages with lots of action may end up longer once the film is shot and edited. Now, some stories are better suited to the screen than others. Different media have different strengths, so what makes a good poem or graphic novel won't necessarily make a good movie. A film creates an immersive visual world, that illusion of reality we keep talking about, and within that world, it can tell a story packed with complex emotions and ideas. Movies tend to focus on 3 main things: a protagonist, which is the film's main character, a goal or objective, which is something the protagonist wants, and obstacles, which is whatever's standing between the protagonist and their goal. Think about a heist movie. Maybe a master criminal wants to steal the world's biggest diamond, but finds herself facing off against a rival thief. Or a romantic comedy where the awkward but lovable introvert wants to date their outgoing neighbor, but is afraid to leave the comfort of his own routine. Protagonist, goal, obstacle. These are the building blocks of a screen story. And it's from these that everything else emerges, like setting, character, theme, and tone. Now, the protagonist doesn't necessarily have to be the story's hero. Films are full of anti-heroes like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, or accidental villains like William H. Macy's character in Fargo. Usually, a movie's protagonist will grow or change in some way in pursuit of their goal. The master criminal might learn humility as she attempts to steal the diamond, Or maybe the introvert overcomes his social anxiety to befriend his love interest. But the most important thing for the screenwriter is finding ways to make all of this come across visually. One way to do that is by following what's known as the hero's journey. This is a template for character development that was popularized by American mythologist Joseph Campbell. By looking at myths from cultures all over the world, Campbell identified 12 common steps taken by main characters as they transform over the course of a story. These range from resisting the call to adventure and meeting their mentor to facing their biggest fear and surviving the final ordeal, armed with everything they've learned along the way. The hero's journey was famously used by George Lucas when writing Luke Skywalker's journey from Tatooine farm kid to Jedi Knight. Some screenwriters love it, while others think it's a stale, overused formula. But if you're looking to write your first screenplay, it's not a bad place to start. Once you have some characters and plot points, you need to throw some conflict into the mix. Conflict moves a story forward and helps us identify with the protagonist as they're struggling against their obstacles. And screenplays can have different kinds of conflict. External conflict occurs whenever the protagonist encounters physical obstacles. Take the first Lord of the Rings film, The Fellowship of the Ring. Our protagonist, Frodo, has a goal: destroy the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom. No problem, right? Except, in order to get to Mount Doom, he has to travel across the known world, avoid an endless army of orcs and monsters, and outwit the powerful fiery eye that's always searching for him. Not to mention, he's the shortest guy in the movie, and they make him walk barefoot the whole way. Don't make me with the poor guy's shoes. On the other hand, internal conflict is when the protagonist wrestles with some emotional or psychological obstacle. For Frodo, that could be his ignorance of the wider world, a lack of faith in himself, or even his jealousy and selfishness. Usually, the more conflict the protagonist faces, the more they transform to overcome it. But that doesn't mean the fate of the world has to be at stake in every single screenplay. The writer should scale the conflict to fit the kind of story they're telling. Like in Bridesmaids, Kristen Wiig's character just wants to be a good maid of honor to her best friend. She faces a lot of external conflict, from a rival bridesmaid to some severely undercooked Brazilian food. And internally, she feels conflicted about her best friend getting married, the loss of her bakery, and her self-worth. The universe isn't going to implode if she doesn't succeed, but we still empathize with her as she struggles to achieve her goal. Now, once you have some ideas for the story you want to tell, how are you supposed to organize them all? Screenwriters often use something called three-act structure, which is based on theories by ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle from more than 2,000 years ago. The idea is simple, that every story has a beginning, middle, and end, and that certain kinds of events happen in each section. Act 1 sets up the world of the screenplay, introducing us to the characters and identifying the protagonist and their goal. In The Wizard of Oz, most of Act 1 takes place in Kansas. It's the black and white part. We get external conflicts between Dorothy and that mean old lady down the street, as well as Auntie Em. We also learn that Dorothy is unsatisfied with her life and dreams of something more exciting somewhere over the rainbow. Once she's transported to Oz, she meets her antagonist, the Wicked Witch of the West, and we learn that her goal is to find the wizard so she can go home. In Act 2, the protagonist faces increasingly difficult conflicts as they pursue their goal. They meet allies, encounter successes and setbacks, and are often brought to a point of hopelessness. For Dorothy, this is when the wizard refuses to take her home unless she can defeat the Wicked Witch. To get what she wants, she'll have to face her fears and do the seemingly impossible. Finally, Act 3 contains the climax of the film. There's usually some epic face-off between the protagonist and antagonist, the person who most directly opposes them. That confrontation usually decides whether or not the protagonist achieves their goal. And in most Hollywood screenplays, they do. Dorothy gets back to Kansas, Luke Skywalker blows up the Death Star, Simba defeats Scar and restores the Circle of Life to the Pride Lands. But the guidelines of the three-act structure are just that, guidelines. Foreign and independent movies can have more ambiguous endings, from the open-ended final shots of The Wrestler or Birdman to the heartbreak of Brokeback Mountain or the death of Mr. Lazarescu. Films like MASH, Traffic, or Magnolia split their stories up among different protagonists, while movies like Pulp Fiction and Memento scramble time, telling their stories out of order. And films like Mulholland Drive, Rashomon, or Man with a Movie Camera seem to reject the three-act structure altogether. Remember, screenplays are one part of a longer process. They're a blueprint. Whether they follow more traditional rules or invent their own, the clear, concise visual language of a screenplay provides the foundation for all the work that is to come. Today, we learned about the format of screenplays and why they look the way they do. We talked about the essential building blocks of a film story, and we broke down the traditional three-act structure, what happens when and why. Next time, we'll talk about pitching and pre-production as the cameras get ready to roll. Crash Course Film Production is produced in association with PBS Digital Studios. You can head over to their channel to check out a playlist of their latest shows, like Comanity, It's Okay to Be Smart, and Physics Girl. This episode of Crash Course was filmed in the Dr. Cheryl C. Kinney Crash Course studio with the help of all these nice people. And our amazing graphics team is Thought Cafe.
Great. All right. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to actually add this to the videos. I think it's somewhere else in on Blackboard in the next module, but I'm also going to add it here because it is a really good. It's a really good primer. That means an introduction to what screenwriting is. Sorry, this. Introduction to. All right. Bang. So it's right here. All right. So now, one of the things I want to say before we launch into this next one, how to format a screenplay, is one of the things that you want to do is read a lot of screenplays and watch the movies. Some people say you should read the screenplay first, then watch the movie. I like that best. Some people say you should watch the movie first and then read the screenplay. I'm a filmmaker, I like to read the screenplay first and if I haven't already seen the film, put in my mind's eye, imagine how I think the film would look, and then watch the film and see how their version differs from my imaginary version and try to figure out why they made the decisions that they made. Okay, it's very, very informative. Sometimes people will read screenplays right along with watching a film. Like they'll read like the first, act, the first 30 pages, and then stop reading and then watch the first 30 minutes, watch the first act of the movie. But the best thing you could do for yourself is read screenplays and watch the films that they become. There are lots of places that you can get free screenplays of your favorite films and TV shows, believe it or not, online. There are a lot of different websites that offer that. So I want to highly encourage you to do that. You have to get used to how screenplays look, how they read, how they feel, how they associate with the finished image, the style that they're written in, and lots of different things that you need to know. And the only way that you're going to really get good with that is to get hands-on with the screenplay. Let's look at the next one, maybe a little bit longer, but this is how to format a screenplay. This is from a great
To get
site
started in data analytics,
called
you don't need previous experience
Studio
or
Binder.
a degree. The Google Data Analytics Certificate
All right.
had some sort of guide.
Here we go.
You got ideas for a killer screenplay. You know the story cold. But sometimes the screenplay format can stifle your creativity. That's some sort of guide. But why do we even need to format? We format because screenplays are written to be produced. Formatting correctly isn't stylistic. It's necessary for first ADs to break down your script into characters, props, costumes, etc. in software like Studio Binder. All scenes start with a scene heading, or slug line, to tell the reader where the action is happening. A slug line is a location followed by a time. Your location can be anywhere, from a specific place, to a general idea, to a totally real boarding school. Time is usually what time of day it is, like this, or that. And continuous if the action carries onward from the previous scene. And use flashbacks if you're writing for Westworld. The first part of a slugline states whether your location is inside or out. If your location is outside, it'd be an exterior, and get the abbreviation EXT. Sluglines can be both, as is often the case with moving vehicles. But every location needs action. Consider this scene from Spider-Man. Pete?
How strange. There's nobody here.
But what would it look like on a screenplay? Did you imagine something like this? The key to successful action is to keep it visual and in the present tense. Leave interior thoughts to the novels. While there are no hard and fast rules for capitalization, there are a few guidelines. As a rule of thumb, you want to capitalize character names the first time they appear, sound effects and interjections, and important details, like a prop or a plot twist. Formatting dialogue is pretty straightforward.
Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
You have your character ID, followed by the words they utter. It's pretty simple. Throw an extension next to a character ID to tell us how the dialogue is heard. When a character speaks over the action, on a radio or walkie-talkie, when the characters speak off-screen, but we can't see them yet. You know when dialogue starts in the scene before it, like this?
So now that NASA can talk to me, they won't shut up. They want
That's called pre-lap. It's marked just like any other extension. But if you want to show how a character says a line, you use a parenthetical. Going right under a character ID, a center-justified parenthetical changes how characters speak. Like this.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Transitions. Put transitions right justified between two scenes. The most popular transition is cut to. It emphasizes how quickly the editor should move on to the next scene. But there's plenty of other transitions writers use. And if you want the editor to cut between two scenes consistently, usually for a phone call, that's called an intercut. It goes right where you put the transition. If you're staying in one location and want to move within it or skip ahead, you use subheaders to move locations within a scene. Formatted after an action line, you press enter and capitalize. Why don't we see some examples?
Voice. A sign. Something. Don't worry, Andy's going to take care of us. I guarantee it.
But to be clear, a subheading isn't the same as a shot. Exterior, freeway overpass, day.
Anyway, I got places to be, a face to fix, and
Formatted in all caps, like an action line, a shot directs our attention to a visual. To start a montage, enter these words above the short scenes you want to string together. And end it the same way you started it. Got lyrics? Then it's important to keep in mind that one page equals roughly 1 minute of screen time. Since lyrics take up little page space, but require much time, one option is to space out the lyrics on the page.
Good, feel good, thank you.
The other option is to describe the music sequence instead of listing out each lyric, like Damien Chazelle did in La La Land.
A waste of a lovely night.
See, there's nothing here. Well, let's make something clear. I think I'll be the one to make that call.
Chirons. They're the text that appears over the screen. Under a scene heading, you start an action line with the word chiron in all caps. Put the text after. Some screenwriters use the word title instead.
it absolutely makes sense. You're a janitor who snakes toilets with his bare hands. So my hands.
Now that you know the ins and outs of screenplay format, you can get back to telling your story. It's time to get writing. Enjoy this video? Like it and subscribe for more.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say before we sign off is, as far as that screenwriting format, treat it those standards as the word of God. Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many students just kind of say, "Oh, I'll be a little creative. I'll write INTERIOR instead of just the INT period. That's better, right? Because everybody will know what I'm talking about. No, it's horrible because of the fact that the person who's reading this, a producer or director, somebody who could possibly get it produced, they're looking at it and they're saying, hey, this person is not sticking to screenplay format, right? And so that makes you look like you're not a professional. That make they at that point, I've seen people just read the first page. They see the person is not sticking exactly like fastidiously to format, and them just throw the rest of the 120-page script in the garbage. Because like if they don't know that much, then they probably don't know if they know the technical mechanical side of it, they probably don't know anything about the nuances of writing a story. That's much harder than simply where you place the words on the page. But where you place those words on the page, they're incredibly important. So you have to know that like the back of your hand. Now, the good news is there are apps nowadays where you can use these apps. You can use, they're like a word processor, except for they can sense, okay, he's gonna type some dialogue now. So I've got to format the name of the person that's speaking and the dialogue that they're speaking, the lines they're speaking. I've got to format them in a specific way, right? It makes it really easy for you to once you learn the software, it's very easy. It's very intuitive. It's easy for you to stick to the screenplay format. But that is incredibly important that you stick to the screenplay format. Nothing will get somebody's script burned faster than you didn't follow screenplay format, because that's a true sign that you're an amateur and your script isn't even worth reading. I know that sounds harsh. I've seen it many times. I've done it. And 99.9999999% of the time, they're right as far as disregarding the script. So please, please, please make sure you take the learning that format. It takes just a little bit of time, and it's something that you'll continually get better at. But definitely don't take liberties with the screenplay format at all. That is like the only thing in art and film if they'll say, hey, you cannot take liberties. This format's been here for over 100 years. Okay. And this is a standard that we all have. Because remember, like I said, it's not just about people being hard. It's about you're writing a blueprint and everyone else behind you, the screenwriter, the director, the cinematographer, the actors, they have to know what's going on with your screenplay. They have to be able to interpret it because they're using that as a map to shoot the film. And if you're making up rules or making up formats and they can't make heads or tails of what you're doing, and of course, you're never going to be there to explain to them what you did, then that means a lot of time and a lot of money is going to be wasted on this poorly formatted script trying to shoot it. So in any case, please make sure that you guys do the things that we talked about earlier. Make sure you take your no-show participation quiz. Please make sure you do that by this Sunday because I'm not going to meet with you again before then. Please make sure that you do that ethics assignment if you haven't already. If you have done it already, like last semester, just copy paste your responses, hopefully that you saved, and do that. And go ahead and read the rest of read the 2 PowerPoints that are in Module 1. Do all the material that's in Module 1, and you can actually go ahead and get started on taking the quiz if you would like. Although it's not due until June the 2nd. So I will meet with you one more time before you take the quiz. Please make sure you go out and purchase the book, Save the Cat, for the class. Please make sure you purchase the book. And that's about all. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, great. Mr. Walker. What about you, Mr. Walters? Any questions?
No questions.
Outstanding. Please make sure you go ahead and do all those things I just said. If you have any questions or concerns, please email me or call me, or you can stop by the office if it's during my conference hours. And I will see you guys next Tuesday, the 28th. Okay?
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Peace.
Bye-bye.